Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? You're all very welcome to another episode of the live Royal Ramble pod. To anybody who was here last week, welcome back. Anybody who's brand new, well, what's the crack? This is even a new venture for me because for any of the new people that are on board going, what in the name of Christ is that? Essentially, I have a long-running, twice, sometimes thrice weekly podcast called Buckshot with a kind of a smattering of a rambling in between where I talk to guests and I just talk to myself lots in certain rooms. So this is a new venture for me, which has been introduced to me by my very good friend Gordo, who has joined us today. And essentially the way it will go is we'll be here for an hour. We'll have the crack. And I've picked a subject. Like last week, I picked the one where drinking, because everybody can kind of relate some which way to drinking. And we all got on board some which way. We went off, veered off into Coronaville at one point, which I don't want to do. This is a point to just deviate slightly away from the hellish height that's going on at the minute. So, like I said, we'll just motor through with plenty of stories. This is the one that kind of came to mind. This is going to be all about the school days, because we've all, at some stage, have been to school and all the rest of it. So I see people popping up on the side. You're all very welcome. How are you, Michael? Well, Ian, we've big Mick down the bottom, violin Mick. Well, what's the crack back?
All right, sexy.
Thanks very much for joining us. We're over on YouTube, Twitter, and over on Facebook as well. So hello, if anybody's out there on that side, we've Gaz up the side, and he was there last week, long-term listener. Mighty stuff. So like I said, we'll run for an hour. We'll do a couple of bits and jump all over the place. Joining me, as always, is the beautiful, gorgeous son of Wexford himself. The pride of, he's essentially the logical, well-rounded version of Alex Jones. It's the mighty Gordo from those conspiracy guys, which I would honestly swear I should. People think I'm actually getting paid by you now, Gordo, because you actually get mentioned accidentally. I trip into those conspiracy guys accidentally in every. We should play a drinking game every time I mention those conspiracy guys. Fuck, four drinks taken already at this stage.
I'm essential, Tom. That's the thing. I'm everywhere. I'm omnipotent.
You're omnipotent.
Yeah.
Do you want to get a cream check?
I'm taking tablets for it. Yes. Yeah, it'll work itself out. Mm-hmm. And now live, actually, because it's getting itchy. Live on your podcast, I'm going to reveal for the first time ever. I'm going through.
Oh, Jesus! Look at that. This is gone.
Embrace the skin. Embrace the skin.
Thank you. In the current climate and the lack of I look like I'm after getting fucking blessed at knock. In the current climate, there's no sign of hairdressers or anything like that, and my girlfriend is not one of those girls that has some kind of a, I don't know, delusional plan that they can sometimes be a hairdresser or cut their own children's hair or whatever. There's a fair few kids around the place that are really delighted that they're not going to be going back to school before September because of haircuts that you wouldn't fucking send out your enemy's children on the streets with.
Oh, that was something I was going to get onto about the mother cutting the hair in school and all the rest. The reason why to briefly, slightly touch off of the corona thing, the reason why it popped into my head was people were talking. I've mates of mine who are teachers, and they're having a meltdown at the minute because the Leaving Cert, which I'm not sure what it's called in other countries, but it's the final exams of your final year of secondary high school before you go on into college.
SATs,
A-levels, SATs in the States and stuff like that. So this year, obviously, they don't know what to do because it's normally in a confined environment that papers come in a locked box with fucking Navy SEALs and Irish Army Rangers hanging off the sides of it. So this year, they don't know what the fuck to do. It was summed up beautifully, actually, because they're talking about now letting it to be to the teachers, the actual teachers. Hey, what did you think of him? Mark him. Emma Dorn, friend of both myself, she's fantastic and has a podcast herself, the Up to 90 podcast with Julie J. She did a brilliant sketch during the week. It was where she played one of the teachers trying to mark these kids, you know, as she's going through it. She's like, oh, her mother's a bitch. That's a fucking C all day long. Like,
yeah.
She's like, oh, yeah, but her father's a right. Fucking A for that. Anyway, you know, and the responsibility is about to be left on the teacher. So maybe go back and start thinking about, it wouldn't have mattered a shit. My teachers, I don't think they knew I existed, but they thought there was actually something wrong with me because I had two highly academic sisters who went on to be fucking doctors of shit and stuff. And then this windy liquor went off to be a fucking comedian. So I don't think the marking process would have made much of a difference to me. It would have been, he's good crack. C+. You know, that's where I would have kind of been.
I would have been happy with a C+.
Yeah. How did it figure out for you?
That came out like something out of Futurama. I don't know what happened there.
That was like R2-D2 having a stroke.
Did it?
It was very weird. Could you say it again? Sorry.
How was your schooling? What way did the teachers take you?
Oh, I was a cunt, man. I was really annoying. I asked questions that didn't need to be asked.
I'm delighted you grew out of that. You're delighted you grew out of that.
I mean, I like all through primary school. It was like talks too much, ask too many questions, could do better. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly. If I got evaluated right now at 37, that's exactly the same. Like I'm fucking consistent, if nothing else. Yeah, I asked too many questions. I think I was doing it because maybe I wanted to seem more engaged than I was. I was just like, but what about this? But what about this? But there were genuine questions because I was like, you're telling us this stuff, and then we have to just take your word for it. And if we question you on it, you tell us don't ask those questions. And I'm like, but how can I be sure you know what you're talking about if you're not able to explain it any further than what it says in the book? And I'm like, I don't understand this part of it. Like, why is this part? And there were pertinent questions, but they were probably really fucking annoying. Do you know when you're explaining like how scree gets made or oxbow lakes or fucking what's that called dendrochronology, and I'm all like, wait now, hang on a second now, are you talking about fucking carbon dating? And the only reason the carbon dating works is because you found a coin that has a year on it, and you measured the amount of carbon that has. And then anything else that you find that matches the carbon in that coin, it's from that year. What happens if the number on the coin was wrong? Then everything is fucking bullshit. And the history teacher's like, get out. Do you know? There's a lot of that kind of stuff that went on.
For being honest, off the top, you went, yeah, Tom, I was a cunt. And I wasn't sure what level you meant. But that was
yeah, melter. I was a melter. I was annoying. And I was a class
I was
clown.
too cute for my own good too. I was too cute for my own good. There was teachers where you're going, fuck. But to be fair, meeting them in later life, I was spot on. They were complete fucking bluffers. So you're going, go to fuck.
I mean, you know, I've met teachers since. I met my history teacher who I haunted him. And I told him all about the show and how much I love history, and you know, it's getting a fan base. And he's like, well, you only had 25 of us to entertain in the classroom. I'm glad you found more. You know, it's like, thanks. You're retired. I am. That's why I'm so relaxed about this. You know, but at the time he was like, get out! Like it was fucking making me sign contracts of conflicts. You know, he's like, we're in a conflict now. They did this in World War II, and you signed the contract, and we're at a declaration of war. We're at war. Should you do anything, any small infraction upon the peace of this classroom, I will come down on you with my full might. There's that kind of shit going on. And then, of course,
but you were in Wexford.
You were in Wexford,
a county that tried to fucking secede from the Union and make it its own thing. No wonder the man was so political and put a contract under your nose.
Yeah, Ireland's Texas. We started the 1916 revolution a day early because we were fucking raring to kill English lads.
That was about your 15th fucking revolution, sure, at that stage.
Yeah. And Ferns in Wexford was like the 5th province. It was like the Vatican City of Ireland, where they just went. No, we don't. No king, no lords. We are Ferns.
Does that make Cork the 6th then?
You what?
Does that make Cork the 6th province?
I think they had it later.
Federal Republic.
Ferns was like 1,000 years ago, up to about 300 years ago. They were like, no, we're our own thing. And now it has a shutdown cinema and about 4 Landises, and that's about it.
Yeah, Ferns is famous for other things that we won't get into at the minute anyway. So
school is that it, Tom? Yeah. But in transition here, I discovered alcohol, and I be drinking at lunchtime, and I was a lot less questioning when I came back after lunch. I was a bit more placate.
How was school for you, Mick? It's all right, man. Like taught by priests, so sex ed was always interesting.
Yes.
Genuinely had a priest. I think 11 or 12 is usually when you get your formal sex ed. I'm a bit too old now to remember. Maybe it's younger now. And the priest came in and was like, one of the topics. It was like over a 2-day period, and it was like, so boys, today I'd like to talk to you about wet dreams.
Jesus.
And he's like deadpan, and he was like, you'll wake up maybe in the morning, and you'll find, he wouldn't say the words, but but none of us knew, because none of us had one. We were like, what the fuck's he talking about?
Who describes their dick as firm? That's very...
Yeah, the whole time I'm just tensing up here, mate. This is fucking rough.
Yeah.
Go on,
but then he said, basically he said, you'll have these feelings, and you'll have these flashing images through your mind, and blah, 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 all these dreams and all. My door is always open if you'd like to come and talk to me about your wet dreams. But it wasn't until years later, like, when you're like 13, 14, 15, you start to sort of get sexually curious. You're like, whoa! Like, there's a line, and he just snorted it and stormed through it. Do you know what I mean?
You didn't take him up on it by any chance?
No, mate, no. Dear Deirdre was I found to be a bit better in the sun. I'm joking. I don't buy the sun, boo the sun. But no, school was all right. Like I was musically, like that's where I went. I just did music, and if I got detention, it was like, oh, I can't do detention because I've got orchestra practice, and I go, it's okay. Because it was always like a class detention, like somebody got alcoholics, and then everybody got detention. But I'd be like, oh, I can't go. But no, I was a pretty quiet kid, and then like there was one time during religious studies, whatever, like basically repeal the eighth and all that kind of stuff was being taught, and I spoke up for the first time in all my education career, and it was, Michael, do you agree or disagree with abortion? And bear in mind, I'm 15 at the time, and I said, I don't feel I have the right to have an opinion. And she went, you what? And I says, well, A, I'm not a woman, and B, I don't have a girlfriend who's pregnant, so I've not been in that situation. I said, so I don't feel I've got the right to have an opinion or cast a judgment. And she says, no, you should disagree with it. And I went, no, but you asked me if I agreed or disagree, and I'm giving you my... So then when parents teacher evening came in, she said to my parents, oh, Michael's being insolent. And she was like, my mom was like, nah, not my son. I highly doubt that, because every other teacher in the school thinks he's amazing. But because I told her she was full of shit for basically saying, trying to ram an opinion down my throat. But I was like, well, I still, 20 years later, I'm like, it's none of my business. I don't have, if you want to get one, work away. If it's legal, doesn't mean you have to get one. That's grand. Do what your body, your choice, work away. Sorry to get we got political very quickly there.
We have Bestie on board. How are you getting on, Sharon?
Not too bad. Very different environment from this time last week, that's for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's pissing down. It's miserable. I have some more sangria, actually, in the fridge, Mick, and we bought a whole bunch of White Claws yesterday, which I feel is very typical white girl.
White Claws? I started thinking almost 10 years ago.
I know we're supposed to be talking about school here today, but what's a White Claw?
I've never had White Claw. I hear it's amazing, and I hear you were getting wild.
Me either, but yeah, John just wanted to try them, so that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to go pick up some barbecue and have some White Claws, apparently.
When you're drinking White Claw, I think you're supposed to dial 9 and then 9, and then like leave the phone down somewhere in case you need to press the last 9.
Well, here's the funny thing about that, Gordo. If I start dialing 999, that'll be really big international charges, and I don't think I can seek help.
It's a long way for a chopper to go, as in fairness, yeah.
Are you not in
9-1?
Are you not in a white person country? Where are you? Oh, you're in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So what
that's
is
the
it?
thing, like, it's 911 here, and I keep thinking to myself, like, if anything, there was one day in work that there was like a big argument happening outside, and we saw this from the window, and my boss is like, okay, you dial 911 if anything happens, and I was like, don't put that on me. I'll forget that it's 911 and start dialing 999.
Brilliant.
Oh, God.
Here, I'm going to have here anyway, folks. That's somebody else in. I'm gonna get the gear set up for later on.
Brilliant stuff. So feel free, anybody who wants to jump in. This is the way we jump in, jump out, and we're chit chat and all the rest of it. Michael is from Ferns, is he? Fucking hell.
Here, Tom. I'll jump in about quarter two, okay?
Come on, Mick.
There's a castle and an abbey and lots of nuns apparently in Ferns, Gordo. So we're undercutting Ferns a bit too much. Ferns County Wexford.
Yeah, I think we were looking at like functional things. It was a castle that I guess nobody uses, an abbey that's pretty ornamental, and lots of history. I mean, isn't it? Doesn't everywhere have history? Unless it's never been here before. I think, Michael, think you made big claims there, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. It's a stretch. I don't want to alienate anyone from Ferns, but I mean, we got the bishop's house.
So, like we were saying, we were chatting about the whole school thing and everything else. I've said this to a bunch of people, and they still I don't know if I told you. I must have told you at some stage, Gordon. Was anybody else hit during school by their teachers?
In primary school?
Yeah, primary school.
Yeah, primary school, yeah.
One of our teachers almost stabbed someone, though, in home economics one day. So that was... She was possibly liquored up during the class, and got really pissed off because none of us could quite master the lemon meringue pie. And I'm pretty sure someone almost lost a finger that day.
What a fucking thing to get stressed out over! The fucking lemon meringues, you kids!
It was, the worst part of it wasn't even the meringue itself. It was like the short crust pastry that we had to make, and that was it. That was like the end of the road that day.
You just crush up a lot of digestive biscuits with some melted butter. Like, what's the fucking big deal?
Exactly, that would be exactly. But that's probably the most traumatic thing that ever happened at school with teachers.
I think you're selling it short there. I think it goes much beyond for that teacher. I don't think that problem begins and ends inside a bread making tin.
I would say she was probably, carrying a hip flask around or something around the school. I would not be surprised.
So Colm up the side here says he got bait on a daily basis. Peter got a duster over the fingers one time. The reason why I ask is there was I meant to actually send you on the picture, Gordon, to throw it up, but it doesn't make a difference. You wouldn't be able to pick me out of the group of wild-looking culty children anyway. But I wanted to show you the teacher on the side. I don't know if she's still alive. She probably is because she was made of pure evil. But they had a nursery. Her husband owned a nursery, so she had an endless supply of bamboo canes.
Oh, man.
And there was 3 of us in the class, and the reason why she beat out of 20. And the reason why she beat us, because our mothers didn't play 45 up in the bar, up the road on a Monday night there, with her.
She wouldn't have to hear about it.
Oh, she used to beat the living shit. But the thing was, I kind of think I deserve it. Like, there was an element where I went, I was a little cunt. But the element, I was a fucker, like. And once you get one crack, you're like, that wasn't too bad. I got over it. Yeah. Then you start pushing and looking.
It's like, hit me harder.
Yeah, don't break me, you bitch.
Well, I had a niece like that. Like, if my mum, when she was a kid, if she was young and my mum, she's doing something wrong or whatever, she'd be like, well, that didn't even hurt. So I just feel like that was probably the vibe that was going on in school. It was like, well, hit me harder next time.
It's more, I think, the shock of it, because you get used to the pain quite quickly. In anything, with exercise or hemorrhoids. Like, it's not the payoff, like the thing that you do that's enjoyable. You're like, yeah, well, I'm gonna pay for that later. Do you know?
Yeah.
When you're doing shit in school, you're like, I'm gonna say this shit. Everyone's gonna laugh. Teacher's gonna be mad. I'm gonna get a dig, or I'm gonna get some fucking punishment. But like, the punishment is not even that bad. I remember I was in a standoff over lines. We used to get lines, and I was just like, no. Lines are a waste of mine.
Like writing, I should not say this, or
I should be more. Okay. I should be more blah 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 whatever. And I used to like tape the fucking pens together, man, and do this kind of shit. And it turned into like pure frustration. So there was shit fired at me, like thrown at me, chalk, wooden dusters, fucking set squares, like some fucking Ninja Gaiden, fucking shinobi shit, like. And I'm like dodging it like the Matrix, because once you get the first smack, you're like, well, that's not that bad. It's the fear of it that I think keeps children in line. Like, you wanna fucking, and you're like, go ahead and hit me. And the first time a child says, go ahead and hit me, then you've lost. Then you're gonna have to bait them. You're gonna have to hurt them, because you can't just give them a little smack. So like, there's no point in hitting anyway. It's a totally redundant form of control. Do you know what I mean? You want to get deep in the psyche. You want to threaten the child with the man. You want to be careful of the man to come and get you. Which man? Any man. Be afraid of men. Like, that's...
Well, I can remember there was exactly that point. It's one of the few points I can remember from school because I was probably concussed for fucking most of it. But I remember,
and later got into MMA for no reason at all.
This is well, sure. I've no feeling sensitive. Like all the senses of my head are gone. But I remember the bamboo bouncing off my hand and going flying across the classroom. And rather than going, well, now you got your shot, teacher, and sit back down, I walked down, picked it up, and gave it back to her and held my hand back out.
Oh,
in other words. Go on.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to stop
that just sounds like a very Tom move of things to like from listening to you over the years. That's just like peak Tom right there. To like, here, do you want to go?
This is your only power over me, and I'm handing it back to you. Give me another one. Give me another one. Make it hurt.
So when I say it, I think I kind of deserved. I deserved every second one at the very least. Peter, welcome on board. How are you getting on?
All right.
Good stuff. How was your schooling? Was it all right?
It was a great school. I had a great school childhood in terms of school. Like I went to Christian Brothers School back in the 90s, and we were actually beaten more by the teachers than the Christian Brothers, funny enough. And I would have probably I could pull out in my head probably 7 different stories of getting slaps and digs and stuff. And I remember there was one time when two lads were having a fight in the class, so I was keeping sketch. So I had my hand on the door, so I was peering in and out like this, and all of a sudden I felt something go across the fingers. And one of the teachers got a duster. Now I said, "What did you ask for?" He goes, "Well, you shouldn't be at the door, should you?" And I was like, "Oh no, I suppose it's a fair point." But we I'm not allowed to mention names, am I? No, better not.
It's your own thing. If it's true, it's not. If it's true, it's not defamation, right?
Well, he's dead at the moment, but Mr. Flynn was
dead at the moment.
He's dead at the moment.
Resurrection next week.
I should hope so. They buried him.
If anyone is dead, you can say whatever you like. You can make up any old shit because defamation doesn't carry on after death.
But we had one teacher called Mr. Flynn.
Go on, this gay teacher, Mr. Flynn. Yeah, go on.
No, he was about 270 pounds, and he was 6'4". He was very intimidating, and he got to the point one day where we were just wrecking his head so much that he just gave up. He had his hands in his heads, and one of the lads were all sniggering down the back. And then I went to the guy beside me. I said, "What's long, hard, and full of semen?" And before I got the chance to finish the joke, he stood up. He literally uppercutted me up in the air. And I went to him, a submarine. It was a submarine. It was trying to be a dirty joke, but it wasn't a dirty joke. So I had to go out. I got kicked outside the door, and then I got brought in later on. And he says, "Right, you're to get a letter. You're to write an explanation and get it signed by your dad, and then you're to get your form master to do the same thing." So I was going, "Oh Jesus, how am I going to get out of this?" So the form master, I got on great because I played Ga. So he was all right. He actually seen the funny side of it. And my dad, I had to go home. I had to butter him up, and then I had to put it to a certain way that it actually wasn't. It wasn't really me, but I was kind of there, and I got blamed on the type of thing. And my dad was just cop on, will you? But we used to get terrible slaps and punches, and we'd one teacher. He was into football, and he would join in when we were doing sports, football and Ga.
Yeah, and changing and having a shower afterwards. No,
not even that. But he'd be doing full force. He'd be doing full force sliding tackles on you and everything, and doing barging off the ball and everything. But if you went near him, though, you'd be you're in serious trouble. But it was a comical school looking back on it, where people get slaps and punches and stuff. Like we went up to there was a fairly big college beside where we were, and there was a shop in there, and we'd go in, and a handful of would bundle in, and we'd be robbing cream eggs and bloody chewing gum and rock shandy and stuff like that. Nothing major. So we did this. We did this a few days. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I got courage. So I went in and said, "Sure, look, everyone else is doing it." So I robbed a can of rock shandy and 2 cream eggs, and of course, I got fucking whistle-blown by some guy in the queue. So I got brought in. Me and another fella got brought into the stock room. The guards were called and everything. Like we were down the
over fucking cream eggs and rock shandy.
I swear to God. It was brought up by my best man on my wedding at his wedding speech.
Oh man!
And we were in the police station and everything. And my dad had to be called, and the dad came up and got me. My dad was just absolutely disgusted. And we weren't a poor family or a rich family, but like that was something that got out fairly fast. But it was. I never forget. It was the day before the Ireland England match. Remember the one, Tom, where there was big riots in Lansdowne?
They ripped out the chairs and everything.
Yeah, and I had tickets for the match because I used to go to load of the match with my dad, and it was just a disaster. Carve, Rob, and cream eggs and a can of rock shandy, and it was a few days later there was the breakup of the midterm. Somehow I don't know how I didn't get suspended. I didn't even get expelled. I don't know how I got away with it, to be honest with you. But it was real. Like I think the Christian brother principal just forgot about it. But there was mad stuff in the school. There was times when
Peter, you're lucky you didn't get a nickname out of that, man. Like if you hadn't done that shit in our school and got caught, you would have got a nickname. You would have been called Shandy or Creamy or Egger or you would have been called something.
Oh Jesus!
I don't know if you can see the comments down the side, but Bill's battery is shitting the bed momentarily, and he's gone 7% to 6% to 5%.
He's keeping us posted, Tom.
Okay, can I tell one last story? So,
yeah.
I've loads of them actually, but there was one time when in Mr. Finn's class, like it was all hell broke loose in that class.
Just try not to set my house on fire. Sorry.
One time, one of the guys got kicked outside the door. So as he was walking out, he mumbled something like, "You'll be sorry." So we didn't think anything of it. And there's a couple of people outside the door at this stage because that teacher had a terrible knack of kicking people out. The next thing you know, we heard this big smash going on, something like something really, really like something getting smashed to bits.
Columbine, like.
Well, not nearly. Columbine for Dublin 9, I suppose. Well, your man that got kicked outside the door picked up, those big old metal bins used to be out in the hall.
Yeah.
Picked up one of them, went into Jack's, smashed up the whole cubicle, and just wandered back to where he was and blamed the other guy that was sitting out the door in front of him. Like, anyway, great childhood though.
There was always the odd fucking lunatic.
Yeah,
you know, like you'd all give each other shit back and forth, but in every class, in every year, there was always one dark fucker, and I know what you're thinking, Gordo. Caucasian dark fucker. I'm not going down that road.
Them lads didn't come until the 90s, Tom.
I had to get in there. We're not even 9 o'clock. So, but yeah, there's one lad, and as it turned out, we were right. There was this. We'd all be constantly fighting because it was fucking Tip Town, voted the second worst town in Ireland during the 90s. And it lost to Longford. I mean, we were raging. If you're going to be the worst, you got to be. Who wants to lose at being the worst?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like,
lads, I'll jump off. Let someone else on. Okay.
Go on, Peter.
Yeah, sounds Peter. Thanks very
so
much for the story, man.
No problem at all. See
you. But yeah, it turns out those dark fuckers, can often be very, turn out to be artistic, whatever. No, we were all right by this one lad. James was his name, and nobody crossed him. Nobody ever fucked with him. He always had that last. He looked like he was on the last edge all the fucking time. And I can't remember, was it the army or the navy? But he killed the fella in the navy.
Wow.
Yeah, he snapped. Somebody was poking him and poking him and poking him and poking him at whatever it was, and he either threw him out under a tank or off the side of the ship. Yeah, he went full metal jacketed.
Fuck.
That's it. Sharon, where did you go to school? Was it in Belfast?
Yeah, I went to Victoria College, so it was a bit. I mean, for me, like
sounds snazzy.
Yeah, we always kind of thought it was like a bit of a prestigious school, but then one day outside the canteen, two girls were absolutely ripping hair out of each other. So I mean, there was always like that. I mean, school was okay. It wasn't really my thing. Like studying and stuff was just kind of like, just kind of get through it. Primary school was different. Like I could wake up, like look out our front window, and the primary school was right there. Like primary school was a bit different, but yeah, I kind of just moseyed through school, to be quite honest. It wasn't really a big thing for me, but there was always, like you say, there was always those dark horses and, people beating the crap out of each other. And of course, all girls school. Girls are bitchy, so.
Now, these are the mysteries of the universe. The mysteries of the universe is for fellas is a girls' school. Tom, was your school mixed? Oh, no, mixed, I mean, like boys and girls, not.
Oh no, we only allowed white people. Yeah, white boys and girls. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I was in an all-boys school, and it was kind of like this fucking, like a wanking mist of mystery. Just like the school just faintly smelled like the sea. But there was always the mystery.
Can we take a pause? Hold on, can we take a pause? Describe your school one more time with a wanking what?
A wanking mist of mystery. just like a kind of like a jizzy fog. Like the air was heavy, like before a thunderstorm,
God.
but it smelled like
What time in the morning
it smelled
is
like
it over there,
Domestos
Sharon?
in the sea.
What was the question? Sorry, Tom.
What time in the morning is it over there? Just
it is 12:32 p.m.
Did you
in the
think you were
afternoon.
going to? Did you think you were going to hear such glorious things, Arda Gordo, at this time in the morning?
I mean, we can always rely on him for the, you listen to Gordo's podcast and he's so hard hitting and he's getting like really krill interviews with people, and then he just, Sunday afternoon, a jizzy mist.
Yeah.
So
a misty jizz.
But my apologies.
Yeah, so like there's like a smell of first years. There's kind of like a prepubescent musk of sweat glands like secreting for the first time, and there's kind of like a kind of an unwashed smell of like fresh ham sandwiches and like different types of cheeses, both lunch and foot. Like there's all this kind of stuff going on, like pre-gym or old gym bags, lockers with like socks left for weeks. An all-boys school is a very listless, loveless place. It's all one-upmanship and dick measuring, and and that's just like the first 2 classes in the morning.
And it's just the teacher's canteen.
Yeah, but like the mystery was the girls' school up the road. Like, so we were in this Christian Brothers, and there was girls' school up the road called the Presentation, and we were kind of like the lower class. It wasn't a sister school; it was more like a cousin school because you can't shift your sister. And
wow,
but you can get away with your cousin. And then there was
Gordon draws the line at incest, so that's always good to know.
And there's 2 other schools then, the St. Peter's and the Loreto. So we were allowed to we were like free range children. So the Pres and the CBS were allowed out at lunchtime. We were allowed to roam free, But the Peters, they were rich children that could have been influenced by the lower classes. So they were kept in from 9 o'clock until 4:30 and then picked up on the grounds and not let out. The Loreto, the same then. They were brown uniform all the way down to the ankle, very austere, very, very virginal. And it turned out when we got to 5th and 6th year, we found out that they were the fucking bitches that were mad for the rod. The Presentation had loads of teenage pregnancies. The CBS had loads of teenage wanking. It was just like the tiers, the class tiers in the town of Wexford just matched. So CBS and Pres, and they all kind of paired off. And then the Peters and the Loreto, I don't know, met at the boat club at the weekend or whatever. It was just like a class divide. But the mystery of a girls' school was always there because we had a mixed school called the Tech, but it was more mixed ability than it was mixed gender.
Yeah, I went to the Tech and did it.
Yeah, some lads went to the Tech because they were great with their hands, or they're great, with their minds, or great practical.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, but some people went to the Tech because that was the first school. That was the closest school to their house from driving in from like very, very deep in the country, and they were just like, "Go and just keep going and ask someone where the school is. Go to the closest one." Like that was kind of the reason a lot of people went there.
I wondered how I ended up there. So you solved the mystery for me as well.
Bill is dying on the battery, Tom.
That's amazing. Wait, I have an important message to share. Oh no, he's gone. I'd say he's dead. That's amazing. If anybody wants to jump on in, feel free.
So that was a really long intro of bullshit to ask Sharon. Like, did you go to an all-girls school?
Yes, I did. I went to mixed boys and girls primary.
What was it like to be in an all-girls secondary school? Did you talk about the stuff that boys talk about?
Secrets, Sharon. We need secrets.
We need the fucking tea, Sharon. What happened? What went on?
I don't know.
Sharon.
Was it like
God,
Carrie?
This is a lot of pressure.
Was it like in Carrie? Was there any situations like a female version of American Pie?
Like Mean Girls.
Was it like Mean Girls?
Yeah, of course it was Mean Girls.
Like we had Jerry Girls.
Sort of, I guess. Like obviously,
the Girls Gone
we had
Wild.
kind of like cliques. I mean, after PE, everyone was too like embarrassed or it was like covering up or whatever. But yeah, it was. I would say there was a lot of cliques. It's very much like Mean Girls in that respect, where you're going around the school when Katie first arrives, and it's like, well, there's the plastics, and there's the nerds, and there's the whatever. So you definitely had, and it was funny because my school was in it was just off the Lisburn Road, so it was in the sort of the more affluent area, shall we say. So there was the girls that lived like close by, and their fathers were physicians and like consultants and, whatever. And then you had like the sort of the lower classes, which were from, where I grew up, and we all took the bus to school together. Daddy didn't have the Jag to take you to school. Like when I first started high school, my dad was driving a Nova. So that just kind of tells you, where we were at that point.
Fine car.
God, not a bad car. Brings back good memories. It's certainly better than the Lada that he was driving at one point. My sister-in-law used to call that a fridge on wheels, because it was white. It was just pure white, and it was just, oh jeez, that was
made to be reliable though, Sharon. It would start every morning.
This is true, but no, there was definitely a lot of cliques and stuff in school, and I don't regret going to an all-girls school, because I think, I don't know, like, I don't know whether you felt this, Gordo, but there's so much shit going on when you hit puberty that you just don't need that added pressure of, like, it was bad enough. Like, our school did a lot of, there was a lot of musicians in our school, so they would have had, like, spring concerts, and then there was an end-of-year play, and one year it was our turn to host it, and then the boys' school, Ince, they were, like, the brother school, if you will. And they would have hosted it, but if they ever had rehearsals, it was like, there's a boy in this school, there's a boy. It was like, in primary school when there was a dog got onto the school grounds and everyone lost their shit. It was like that in high school. Right now about that. It was like that in high school, but when a boy came onto to the campus. But I don't, school was
just while doing your work and then someone's like...
It's like, do you ever see in Hocus Pocus, whenever Mary can sniff out children, there was always that one person who could sniff out the only boy that was in school.
That's the thing. I know you were saying back and forth that it probably was healthier to have, but when I got to college, I was able to see the comparative. By the time, we were kind of, you'd be friends with you, as friends as much as you can be friends with, but you would be friends. It's almost like you're allowed to see them. So they're not so much of a fantastic creature for men and for girls and boys. Yeah. So at least you're allowed to look at them.
I fucking needed that.
By the time we got to college, I saw lads that went to boarding school and stuff. The worst version, the all boys boarding school, and it was like cattle had been left out after the fucking winter. They were just, I want to fucking ride everything. I want to drink every beer. I want to inject fucking vaginas in my eyes. And it was like, fucking relax. Go handy, you'll be fine. Yeah. But all these lads were fucking buck wild. And it was the same with some of the girls. They were just, oh, Jesus Christ, I need, by the time we got there, it was like, we weren't cool, but at least we were able to go, I know what that is. It's a woman. I've seen one many times.
Seen one in the wild.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said about it.
Trying to describe the level of country that, because I know you were on about Ferns there or whatever, and I can't really joke, like the level of country that my school was, like at least 50% of the kids wore Wellingtons to school. This was, it was just.
Were you like out in the farm at 6 o'clock and then down for school at 8:30?
Right, literally, yeah. And this carried over into, because I was thinking, maybe the school was a bit more, secondary school, because it was in the town, it was a bit more less culture. It wasn't. Talking even other chaps and stuff, and I was asking what their school. We were allowed. They were non-holiday days. We were allowed in secondary school to take 4 days off for the ploughing championship. It was not.
That's pure
now some kids didn't. Now you didn't have to get a letter from the parents. The school still opened and went ahead. Of course, all the townies never were going, I'm off to the ploughing championship. You weren't, but we were. Even to the point I'll never forget, the Curragh. The representatives from the Curragh race course, where they house a lot of jockeys and they train the country's best jockeys, they came to our school in third year. We're all maybe 15, 16, and they were trying to recruit jockeys, basically, because they were going, chances are, hands up, does anybody smoke? Anybody smoke heavily? Yeah, you'd be great if you could smoke, because you're tiny. Yeah, could you smoke some more?
Anybody mother drink during pregnancy? Anyone here? Thalidomide? Anyone? Thalidomide? Anyone?
Oh, gee.
Well, what was your best subject, Sharon? That got you to the point where you're in Canada being a legal person. You must have been decent enough in school.
God. I mean, I did okay. Like, I don't know what the equivalent is for you guys, but like GCSEs, I did pretty well. A-level, not so much. Because by that point, I was just like, I don't really know what to do. But languages were my thing. So French and Spanish were kind of my things, and English and stuff, and history as well. I enjoyed history. But Can't really speak much French now, which would be really helpful because obviously Canada is bilingual, not so much here on the West Coast, but it's certainly bilingual. But yeah, French and Spanish were my top subjects at school.
How would you have gotten on with the situation they're in now? Because my mate was saying that they're probably going to have to judge the kids themselves because the teachers may actually have to sit down and go, he was a bit of a dick.
Yeah, yeah. My niece actually is having that situation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, Tom. There was a bit of a lag. Yeah, my niece.
Let that happen again, Sharon.
I'm sorry. I think I would have been okay. Like, I mean, coursework and stuff. Like, I applied myself. Like, I was fairly quiet in school. You know, it wasn't that I was a rowdy person or anything, but I think I would have been okay. Exams, like, I was one of those people, I have to say, that bullshitted my way through exams quite a bit. I'm surprised I did as well as I did at GCSE. But yeah, I think it would have been okay. I think it would have fared probably better doing coursework and classwork than I would have in exams when I got to A level, for sure.
What age? Because I think there's a certain type of person. I think you and I would be similar in that, where you pay attention in class, whatever happened in school happened in school. You kind of got it, and if it didn't immediately fly into your head handy, you were just like, it's not for me. I'm not going to try hard. There's other things to be thinking about and doing. So some of the stuff went in easy and some of the stuff didn't. Like, I fell out of love with, like, schoolwork or study or trying very early. Like,
the thought of going to uni. Yeah. I remember, do you guys have to apply for UCAS? Is that a system you have to go through?
There's a CAO here. CAO, and all that stuff.
So UCAS, and you know, the teachers were all like, okay, you've got to create this online account, you've got to do all this, and I was like, I'm not going to university. I'm not going to bother doing it. Like, what's the point? And my teachers were a bit disillusioned with me at that point because they were like, well, you have to do something. I was like, well, I just know it's not for me. And I ended up going to college for a couple of years and did journalism, and then somehow fell into pharmacy, and now I work in the legal system. So not really sure how I kind of took a couple of...
What would you have done if you didn't go to college? What was you know, you're going to be a welder or something?
By the sound of it, Tom.
Maybe like start an OnlyFans, but back in 2007 or whatever. But I don't know, just working. Like, I started working when I was 16 and just always had jobs, like in retail, and sort of worked my way up through retail to become like a key holder supervisor, and that was it. And then just one day I decided, here, you know what, I'm going to go to Canada, and 4 years later, here I am.
Yeah, there's a certain type of people.
Can you imagine them? There's probably young ones, Gordo, and that are actually thinking that right now.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm just going to keep myself in shape and have an OnlyFans. Up this.
That's slightly disturbing.
That's a short profit margin, time to make a profit. Like, it's a short fucking productivity period. But I think, though, that, like, school now, and way more so years ago, it's so fucking industrialized. It's so...
That's because it's from the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, good man, Simon. It's constructed...
Good man, Simon. And you're running away from something.
No, it's early in the morning. I had to get away from the missus because she's sleeping and she's a fucking teacher, so...
Folks, I'm going to head out, pick up some barbecue.
Sharon's on the way out.
Yes, we're going. Yeah, we're going.
Let me get back to that.
We're having a barbecue feast, so we're going to go pick up our ribs and stuff. So,
wonderful.
Tom, I'll send you a picture later. Send you a picture. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks for the story, Sharon.
Take care. Bye.
So yeah, I think that it's industrialized. I don't know about your school, Tom, but like our school, like the Leaving Cert, there was a couple of different modules in Leaving Cert. Like, we were the first ones to do the Leaving Cert English, the modern one that's there now, with the fucking comparative study and all this stuff. Like, we were the first year to do that in 2000. And the teacher that we had was like, I know the answers. I've seen the mock papers. They just made it up. This is the first year. Do what I tell you and you'll get good marks. All I want to see is good marks. And she hadn't had an interest now in fucking teaching us anything. She used to write out these handwritten A4, like 2-3 pages, Philadelphia, here I come, and fucking King Lear and whatever. And it's like,
Sophia,
you don't need to know anything else other than this sheet of paper. Learn it off by heart, know these points and be able to describe this exactly, in the fucking exam, and you gave us all the permutations of the questions, and I was like, bitch, you are injecting information into me to regurgitate it. Like I have to learn the instructions of some machine, and I pull the lever, and I do the thing, and I twiddle the knobs, and fucking stuff comes out, and I put it in a box, and it goes onto the factory floor. Like, bullshit. You weren't teaching anybody anything. And in a lot of classes, in a lot of situations, that was the case. I didn't feel like I was getting taught.
Our school was very much, it was set up to, they were trying to push a lot of people towards either pharmaceuticals or construction. It was like they'd gotten an instruction from the government going, we need to fill these fucking workplaces up.
Yeah.
Push them all. Like, I had no interest in construction.
It was exactly like that. It was exactly like that in Australia. Exactly the same. Pushing people towards a certain degree, that's it. Don't worry about anything else. We had a real shortage of doctors and engineers and all that sort of stuff, to the point where we were employing people from South Africa and the Philippines because they were getting the trades, and then all of a sudden all our schools went to become like trade schools where people learned to become like apprentices, carpenters, all that sort of stuff. Who's becoming all the doctors?
Yeah.
There's no do this to succeed, do this to be financially well off, and then add to society. There's never anything like that.
But there's no incentive, like there's no financial incentive when you can go and be an actuary or a fucking quantity surveyor and get a bajillion pound because you see lads doing that shit. Who wants to go and be a doctor and work 18-hour shifts and get paid fuck all? Who wants to
exactly.
It's a vocation then at that point?
Exactly. The vocation here then become a tradie, because here we had tradies earning more than doctors. Yeah. Like literally we had doctors because that's where the money was. Why not? I can do fuck all. I can paint a house. Wicked, done. Awesome.
And at the same time, the degree, the bachelor's degree became massively devalued. Like anything that gets a surplus in the market. Bachelor's degree, every cunt had one. Even the tick cunts had bachelor's degrees in some fucking thing. Or, potpourri, like, well, I have a bachelor, I have a first degree potpourri degree or whatever, like, or fucking.
Oh, exactly. Bachelor of Arts came out.
and then it became the common currency where if you didn't have a degree, don't even bother applying for a job. You know, it was like you could have a leaving cert and go in, and you had like a leaving cert and 15 years of experience, and then you have another cunt with 2 years of experience and a degree, and they take him 10 times over. So like. There was an impetus to go and get further education, so people were going for PLCs and all this kind of shit. Like in Ireland, it wasn't that bad, but in America, in the UK, like you're paying for that shit. You're buying. People were going to business school and buying their degrees, and it wasn't worth it anymore. And then it got into masters, and here you're into like these specialist financial schools like Smurfit and all this stuff.
What's that, Simon?
I said, Gordo, you spent time in Russia.
Yes, sir.
What was the education system like there? I had a girlfriend from Belarus who used to tell me about it. Education was free, but mafia paid for their kids to go to the better.
I didn't have anything to do with any school children in Russia, Simon. I'd be very clear about that right now. But, there's anybody telling stories, but I did have like when I lived in Estonia, I did have like a job as an English speaking teacher in a private school in Tallinn, and the private school had the kids in it from the richest lads all around. And in some cases, like there's one of these super fucking rich guys who has like 2 families, and he doesn't want to have to write like 2 separate checks, so he puts both of the kids into the one school, but neither of them know that they have the same father or whatever. It's like that kind of rich.
Yeah, that's real rich when you can send your kids to the same school.
Yeah, but like, and they don't know each other, and then the teachers are not allowed to say, like, you were dropping them off in the morning going like tipping her, like, don't fucking say nothing, you know. So it's like super rich, like all the BMW X3s and X5s and all pulling up, like drop it off. But this school had like classes of 12, classes of 15. All the kids got A's. Like in the Estonian system, they were coming out with like the equivalent of 600 points in the leaving. Like every single one of them. They had 3 languages, all of them. They all had like all the sciences up to like leaving cert standard. All the sciences, languages, all accounting, like all the extra. They were doing like 12, the equivalent of like 12 subjects for the leaving cert. And then
the accent, was it you're fucking good? You know,
a little bit of both. Like you pay for it, but the teachers would fucking you'd be getting grinds. Like some of the kids were staying until 6 and 7. Like you were being groomed and prepared to be excellent in your exams. But again, were they teaching them anything, or were they just giving them enough information to be good on a exam that they could prepare for? It's not actually preparing for life. It's like, here's a test we're going to give you. You're preparing for the test, not preparing your mind for knowledge. Do you know what I mean? So it's a different type of business. And then they ended up going to colleges internationally. So like, it's not like they went to like the national or the Talon University. They qualified out of their secondary school and they went to fucking, you know, Brown University, or they went to the University of Toronto, or they went to the University of Moscow. They went to fucking the top schools around the whole world. You know, Paris and London and all this shit. Like, just fuck, these kids are all over. I still follow them on Facebook, like, and they were friends on Facebook for years, you know. And some of them are in their mid-20s now, and they're fucking CEOs of their own companies that are like, you know, have millionaire jobs. Like, they're super successful, talented, well-rounded, educated, cultured people. And I'm like, yeah, man, a good education and money does work. I'm sure some of them are fucking crackheads, but like.
But I remember even when we went and did the J1 in, which is essentially, it's where Irish students can get a 90-day visa off to America typically. And we were in Boston, and any of the lads that went to the expensive fee-paying schools, because you meet lads from the posh schools in Dublin and stuff like that, every one of them had a house and a job before they even left Ireland, where we were going. We're all scrambling around for any old shitty jobs. And I was going, how the fuck is this? And basically, they all got the yearbook, and at the back of the yearbook is all the influential men who went to their school around the world. And men and women, and no matter where they went, give you a job. Oh, you're here for the summer? Grant, here's a job. And I could only look at, because some of the lads were giving out, they were like, oh, fuck that, that's unfair. I'm like, yeah, it's unfair, but if it was you, you'd fucking take it. You know what I mean?
You fucking read the instruction book of life. Like, they knew what they were going for. Yeah.
They're really set up for it.
Ian over here says he's a quantity surveyor and he wants to know, Gordo, who is paying $1 squillion? Because I need to know this squillion. You made out quantity surveyors are getting squillions and squillions of dollars.
Not squillions, but like a handy amount. Like, it's not. Do you know what I mean? What's a quantity surveyor do? He just walks up, stands in the garden, and goes, "There's a house." Like.
Quantity surveyors are they count they're accountants for construction essentially. They go, no, that will cost too much, or I'll pay you for all the blocks you said you'd lay. They're the money people. They're actually so he's handling the squillion. Is it correct?
Yeah. Will he not? Yeah. Is he not making a few bob then? Is it not? Is that
he's doing all right. As they say, like it's called the bail booked. The old poor mouth, they'd all be the same, Gordo. Don't worry about that.
Comfortable, says
he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing fine. How many?
Sorry, I was just going to say, I know here in Australia, traffic management. So you stand out by some cones and you hold a lollipop that says stop or slow down. You're getting paid $45-$60 an hour up to do what?
But you only work an hour in the morning and the hour in the evening, though.
Nah, here in Australia, they're working a fair whack, man. It's cruel. It's cruel. Well, you see, and funnily enough, there's a lot of Irish girls here in Adelaide doing it.
Holding up signs that say stop.
Stop. When I'm in the city next, I'll get a photo of this girl. Oh, you're Irish, aren't you? You sound Irish. She'll probably tell me to fuck off. She's like, you're uneducated Aussie, I'm Welsh, you bastard.
She'll just be pointing to her sign. Stop, turn it around, go away.
Don't make me that's it. Well, that has been our hour. We're going to close out the show. Thank you very much for everybody that contributed, jumped on board. If it's your first time actually getting involved with me, I have a weekly, sometimes thrice weekly podcast called Buckshot, with interesting and or not interesting, just good crack people. Pops up on Tuesdays, Fridays, and everything else. Thank you very much to all the Patreons that are typically there. Once again, thank you to the Pike Man himself, the son of Wexford. Those conspiracy guys, CEO and fucking brain generator. Our very own Gordo. Thank you very much again, Gordo.
No bother, Tom. Anytime, man.
Thanks, Gordo.
Come on, Simon.
And to play us out, Mick has an absolutely... You're going to love this, Gordo. He's a perfectly apt... Is it Alice Cooper?
It is. I think I inspired tonight's podcast, actually, as opposed to the other.
I love
it. Do you know what? We were now. This is subject is something for Gordo's podcast. We were on a telekinesis fucking moment, Gordo. I went those school days on what you call it up on Patreon, and right at that time, Mick had just done an IGVT or TV on Instagram of this song. He went, "Oh my fucking days! Have a look at this song. It'll be perfect for tomorrow night if you want it."
Nice.
So, in your own time, Mick, take it away.
We'll all mute our microphones as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, it's time to annoy the neighbours. There we go.
Fucking hell.
That's such a...
Oh,
Brilliant.
Fuck me. And he's doing all the fucking stuff all the way down.
He's ridiculous, man. Have a look. If you don't follow Violin Mick, everybody on Instagram, jump on board, follow Violin Mick. His stuff is ridiculous. He's been putting up a ton of stuff. So once again, thank you very much to the mighty Mick Conlon on the String Ninjas. Thank you very much to everybody who got on board. Hopefully Bill's phone makes it through till tomorrow. I'm very concerned. Ian, good man, thanks very much. Gaz and Peter and all the gang, Sharon that jumped on board. Simon, thank you very much. The gangs over on the other shout-outs. There's people commenting on my moustache. Thanks very much, lads. there's no real conversation starter. But thanks very much. I grew it all myself. The facially hair groomed people. Actually, Sharon was the only person. Actually, Peter didn't have much going on either. But right now, there's nothing but hairy men. Thank you very, very much, guys. Till next week. See you later.
Guys, later. Cheers.
Later, guys.
That was a sketch.